right. Do you know what that theme song means? That's right. It's another episode of the Senator Omer Raines Show. We invite you to listen to us at 1180 AM KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast radio station, as well as around the world on americamatters.us. The creator and the host of the show invite you to come join us here at the Reno Town Mall, get in the audience, or get behind a microphone. You can also text in questions to our chief engineer, Craig Moss, at 775-237-2266. But if you would like to speak with Senator Omer Raines or his guest, that number is 844-790-TALK. Again, it's 844-790-8255. Without further ado, let's get to the creator and host of the Senator Omer Raines Show, Senator Omer Raines.
Thank you, Eddie. Hello, folks. I'm Omer Raines, welcoming you to America Matters Media, broadcasting this program live to the world, not only in English, but by way of translation in various other languages as well. Now, as listeners of this program know, by my choice, it is intentionally eclectic in nature. Thus, it doesn't focus solely on one topic or subject matter. Moreover, however, and whatever the topic, whomever the guest, we encourage diverse points of view. Therefore, we welcome comments or questions from the listening audience. As Eddie mentioned, the call-in number is 844-790-8255, or if you wish to text us your comment or question, that number is 775-237-2266. Okay, with that in mind, I want to introduce today's guest, Richard S. Segarbloom, more commonly known as Tick, a nickname, but one that's gained a lot of attention and well-known, certainly in most parts of Nevada, definitely in the southern part of the state. If I may call him Tick, Tick went to Pomona College for his undergraduate work. He got his Doctor of Jurisprudence at the University of Denver. He was first elected to the Nevada Assembly to represent Assembly District 9 in 2006. He was elected to the Nevada State Senate in 2012 to represent Senate District 3. What's really extraordinary about this man, among other things, is that he is a fourth-generation Nevada legislative representative. His mother, his grandmother, his great-grandfather, all served in the legislative body of Nevada, and Tick now, as a representative in the Senate of District 3, covers or encompasses a significant portion of urban Clark County, including the portions of Las Vegas and many other areas in that part of the state. So, without further ado, welcome, Tick.
Thank you.
You mind me calling you Tick rather than Senator?
No, that's I definitely prefer that. That's how I'm known, and it makes it easy to remember who I am.
Oh, great. You know, this program, in my opinion, Tick, is particularly timely because the legislative body here in Nevada convenes next week, February 1. And as a result, you, as one of the leaders of that legislative body, I'd like to ask you, what do you see as the principal issues this upcoming session before the legislative session?
Well, first, not to be picky, but we don't actually start till the 4th.
Fair enough.
But for us, those of us from Southern Nevada, it might as well be Wednesday because we're already set to move up there. And we have to move up there for 4 months, so it's a huge undertaking. But as far as major issues, education is always the top of the list, and because we're always coming in 49th or 50th around the country as far as our spending on education and our results. We have the highest dropout rate, I think, in the country. So we need to focus on that, and that usually involves trying to figure out a way to raise some money, which usually doesn't happen. But after that, I know criminal justice reform is going to be huge. That's a nationwide movement from both the left and the right, so I think we'll get some progress there. And then my big issue, marijuana, is going to be, I think, a substantial issue.
Well, let's drill down on that briefly. When you say education, I mean, you're quite right, and I did an education program. And the results, when one compares against other states, are rather abysmal here in Nevada. So, what endeavors or measures do you foresee to address this ongoing problem?
Well, the big thing from Southern Nevada is to try to change the state's formula. Right now, the state formula is every school district gets so much money for every student, no matter whether they're Reno or Elko or Las Vegas. And the reality is our students down here have much more needs. A lot of them don't speak English, so they need special training. There's a lot more that are in poverty. So we need to actually adjust the formula so we in Clark County gets more money per pupil than other parts of the state. But when that happens, then of course that takes money away from the rest of the state unless there's more money in the pot. And so that's the second issue, which is to try to get more money into the pot. But the reality is our teachers are underpaid. I mean, the whole system is, we've never recovered from the recession. Even though our economy is up, for some reason the taxes didn't follow back up. So they dropped really low. We cut everything to the bone. And now the revenue hasn't come back to where it should be. So a lot of things are still cut to the bone.
Well, now you've raised two key points. One, you suggest that education funding is not adequate. And you also, I think, mentioned that the fact that we have so many people without English as a native language, that exacerbates the problem. Are both in the mix?
Absolutely. And they're tied together, obviously. But yeah, here in Las Vegas, it's a majority minority district. More Latino kids are in the public school system than whites or African Americans or Asians, and we have both huge populations. Asians is the fastest growing population. We have a substantial amount of African American population. So we just have lots of needs, and at the end of the day, those require money.
Is Nevada yet what we call a minority-dominated state? That is, are there more than 50% of the population of Nevada that have come from abroad and are non-English speaking?
No, not yet. Clark County is closer, but it's still a ways to go. But I think that sometime in the next, 4 or 5 years, the Latino population will be larger than the white population. But I could be wrong on that. But it's, especially when you look at, say, kindergarten and the earlier grades, those are, especially here in Las Vegas, predominantly Latino. And it's just a product of our workforce. We encourage young families to come here to work in the hotels and work in construction. And a lot of them come from California. They're fantastic people, but they are Latinos. And we need to recognize that. But, Nevada is a Spanish word. Las Vegas is a Spanish word. So our history is really Latino to start with. And so it's kind of fun that we're going back to that.
Well, now, the Governor Sandoval, has been rather sympathetic to education.
Speaking of Latino, Governor Sandoval.
Yes. And he's been very sympathetic to education needs insofar as funding is concerned. Is that not correct?
The last session, he did pass, I think, the largest tax increase in history for education, but which was great, and I applaud him for that. But the reality is that just kind of brought us back to where we should have been, and not even that far. So we still have a long way to go. But he did bite the bullet and do something which for a Republican was amazing. And frankly, there were several Republican legislators supported him and the Democrats to get that tax increase passed, because it takes 2/3 to do it.
Well, has there been a recomposition, if you will, of the state legislature that might make certain things happen that otherwise might not have happened?
Oh, absolutely. That's the other key issue, which I probably failed to mention at the beginning. But last session, 2 years ago, we were controlled by Republicans in both the Assembly and the Senate. Now that's flipped, and we being the Democrats, control the Senate and the Assembly. In the Assembly, we're actually almost veto-proof and have the 2/3 for taxes. We have 27 votes. We need 28. In the Senate, we only have 14. I mean, we only have 12. We need 14, so we need 2. But for bills that don't require 2/3, it's going to make a huge difference. It's transformational, I think, as far as progressive things socially, allocations of funds, things like that. It's really going to be fun. Well, again, if the governor vetoes it, then we need still need 2/3.
For illustrative purposes, how does the Senate, your house, now break down?
we have, I said, actually we have 11 Democrats, 9 Republicans, and 1 independent who is caucusing with the Democrats. She was a Republican last session, and frankly, just how they couldn't stomach a lot of the conservative issues the National Party supports.
And who is that, Tick?
Her name is Senator Patty Farley. She represents the western part of Summerlin area of Las Vegas.
Okay. Now,
she's a small business person, but very progressive socially, and just, from my perspective, a great person.
Okay. Tick, we're going to go to the first of our various commercial breaks, but this is really interesting. Audience, please stay with us. Great guests, great program. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Bill Kendall. I've practiced law in Northern Nevada for over 25 years, and I specialize in representing injured people in their fights for just compensation and in representing parents in custody and visitation disputes. I've tried over 20 jury trials to verdict. I've arbitrated or mediated hundreds of personal injury cases on behalf of clients to successful conclusions, and I have personally handled every single case from start to finish. I am also a court-appointed mediator for the Washoe County Family Court Division, where I help parents negotiate custody and visitation plans. With me as your attorney, you can rest assured that your case will be handled competently and that I will be responsive to all of your needs and questions. My goal in every case is to have clients that are satisfied with the outcome of their case and who would recommend me to others. Give me a call at 775-324-6464 or visit my website, billkendalllaw.com. My number again is 775-324-6464.
We're talking to Victor from Precision Diamonds. Victor, we have talked before about the fact that you started 27 years ago in Park Lane Mall in a little kiosk. You are now in your own building across the street from the convention center. You've had to do something right.
Well, as we like to think that hard work, you like to think that it does pay off, but you get lucky along the way. You work hard, you pay attention, and you get yourself ready. So hopefully when the right opportunity comes up to buy a beautiful building like we just have, you triple your size, you cut your overhead by half, and now you know that you're more competitive than ever.
Plus, you've had a chance to use all of the things you learned from that little kiosk in Park Lane Mall.
Oh, man, along the way, I'll tell you, as far as writing that lease check every month, boy, there were times that it was really hard to do. So you learn from your landlords, and it was really great feeling to say goodbye to the landlord. This has allowed us to truly become your local jeweler, your personal shopper.
Thank you, Victor. Precision Diamonds, your local jeweler across from the convention center.
Now, Tick, you also mentioned as a problem confronting the legislature the marijuana initiative. Now, we had question 2 on the ballot. It passed, and so we, quote, have recreational marijuana available, but it's not available, as I understand it. What implementation measures are taking place at this point in time?
Well, you're right. It was pretty overwhelming. 55% of the voters statewide supported question 2, over 100,000 more votes for question 2 than opposed question 2. So it was pretty impressive. It beat Hillary's vote. It beat Catherine Cortez Masto's vote. It was one of the highest vote getters on the ballot. So, and so as of January 1st, part of that initiative was to legalize marijuana. So right now, you or I or anybody could have an ounce, if you're 21, could have up to an ounce of marijuana in your possession, and that's legal. Which, for you and I, having grown up, that is just phenomenal. When you think of all of the people who have been arrested and gone to prison or gotten criminal records or had to hire lawyers, for 50 years, that now is just something of the past. But the second thing is that question 2 has an implementation period of a year to where you can buy it. So even though it's legal to have it, there's nowhere to actually get it legally unless you have a medical card. So the state, and I'm working with the state on this, we're trying to get it. The law says it doesn't have to be implemented until the end of the year, which would be the end of December. We're trying to speed that up and see if we can't get it done before July the 1st. So a lot of the legislative action will be on trying to come up with an early start program to get it out there, so to avoid the black market, to allow people to buy what they legally can possess, and to get some revenue. I mean, we project $5 million a month in taxes from this, and the governor actually had that in his State of the State speech and in his budget.
Well, insofar as implementation, is that county by county? What is the major impediment to establishing the dispensaries?
Well, it's frankly regulatory framework than our existing medical program. Our medical program, frankly, is better than any other state's recreational program, and from my perspective, we could turn it into a recreational program with flip of a switch tomorrow. And I have a bill that would do that. But there's also a push to just implement Question 2 in its fullness early, and that's what will take some time because it has a different process. They have a distributorship level. They tax it at a wholesale level. There's lots of different moving parts that have to be figured out, and then licenses have to be given. So anyway, just anytime you implement a new law, I've learned the hard way that it just takes time.
So you do think they will meet the 1-year deadline, though, statewide?
Well, I sure hope so, and I do think so. I just read that California has the same deadline in their law, and they're already saying they're no way in hell they're going to make it by the end of the year. But they have an existing medical system that is not regulated, basically, and they're going to try to put this statewide regulation on top of that, and that really is tough. Whereas our medical program, from the bottom up, is already fully regulated, and it said it actually beats Colorado's recreational market. Our medical does, where everything is tested to the nth degree. It's barcoded. It's computerized. The state knows everything that's happening in all the dispensaries. The local governments are all plugged in, so we have a great system. We just have to figure out a way to sell recreational through that or as a complement to that.
Well, California, with almost 20% of the national population and with incredible diversity that even surpasses that of Las Vegas, it's a complex situation. I know there.
I don't envy them. Trust me. I think, oh my gosh, you guys. But again, that's a place where 55, and even more than 55% of the voters voted for it. It's legal now for sure, even though everybody assumed it was almost legal to begin with. And most people there, I think, already have the medical. Their medical, because there's so many dispensaries around. But anyway, I can't tell you how fun it is to be in this industry, and how fun it is to see something which I personally knew should not be illegal suddenly become legal after all these years. Because it's a drug. We don't want to encourage drug use, but if we're going to have advertisements for liquor and for cigarettes and for oxycodone and prescription drugs and all these other things, and gambling, which are all addictive substances, then here's a drug which really isn't addictive that we could make some money on.
Well, we had an earlier program on Question 2, and so there was a pro and con, and both making...
Speaking of that, I haven't talked to that gentleman from Douglas County since then. I wonder how he's doing.
Well, he's still active, I know that. Let's segue over to another issue that seems to be ongoing in nature, and that's the property tax controversy here in Nevada. Can you recount the recent history of that?
Well, what happened was back in the early 2000s when property values were skyrocketing, the property taxes were skyrocketing too, and people were worried that senior citizens, people that bought their house, their property taxes would go too high and it would cause hardship. So we put a cap in of, I think, 3% for residential and 5% for commercial. And that kept the property taxes from going too high. But then when the property values collapsed in the depression or recession, then all the property values went back below that cap, and now they can't come back up because there's a 3% cap. So we're actually getting less in property taxes today than we got back in 2007. And so a lot of Democrats, including myself, are trying to go in and adjust those formulas, not necessarily on residential, but at least on commercial properties, so we can start to, they pay their fair share, and we can use that to increase revenues. But as my understanding, the Republicans have drawn a line and said, no way in hell they're going to prove that, and that again takes 2/3, so we being the Democrats, can't do that by ourselves.
Well, as I'm sure you recall, and based on my own senatorial background in California, June 6, 1978 was a historic day because that's when Prop 13 passed, and something was needed because property taxes were through the roof, and seniors were losing their home, and yet Prop 13, as an initiative, and it's very easy to get an initiative on the ballot in California, was not artfully drafted. The need was great, But the fact that there was no review, there were no committee analyses, and it was inevitable that it was going to lead to a fiscal disaster as well, eventually, as an environmental disaster. And of course, that's exactly what happened. Yours is not nearly as drastic as Prop 13, but do you see something like that downstream? I know that the counties and cities have to be hurting right now here in the state of Nevada.
Yes, and I think the sooner we can address that, the better. One of the problems with Prop 13 is now you've got people who have been in the House a long time under Prop 13 that are paying taxes based upon what it was worth in 1980, and then you have their neighbor who just bought the same house and it's worth 10 times or 100 times more.
That's correct.
Paying property tax on their new value, which, but anyway, it's pretty tough to even that out. Whereas in Nevada, because we were just starting this inequity, if we could address it now, I don't think we'd have to worry so much. I think the biggest problem people have is the new owner doesn't want to pay more than the old owner, but the old owner doesn't want to get stuck with a huge increase. And but anyway, I'm hopeful and optimistic we can do something, but it's an issue. It's not going away, and the sooner we address it, the better.
Well, and in California, and I hope this doesn't happen in Nevada, to coin an old saying, he who pays the piper picks the tune. And the cities and states, the counties and cities so intensely lobbied, and there are over 7,000 cities, counties, and special districts in California. So they ended up getting bailout money from the state, and year after year after year, and they basically had to answer to the state and mandates, and it was not good. There was no fiscal responsibility, no way to reorganize the government because of the intense lobbying pressure from the cities and the counties and the special districts. And as a result, land use planning went off the books, and developers were basically financing all of the legislative campaigns in California at the local level. And that's not healthy. So
No, absolutely not.
I hope that doesn't happen here. Now, talking about taxes, tell me about the new commerce tax.
Well, it was a big deal to put that tax in because we've never really taxed businesses, and it's just been kicked in for about 6 months, and frankly, no one's come to me and screamed about having to pay taxes. Just like our gas tax has gone up quite a bit, no one's come to me and screamed about having an increase in gas taxes. People always scream about taxes, but yet when it actually is implemented, our taxes are already so low, it's not a big deal. So I think politicians have to stop being afraid of their shadow and say, let's bite the bullet and raise taxes. And the commerce tax, that's something we could adjust up and make, another couple $100 million without anybody feeling any pain at all. So at least we have something. But we don't have a corporate income tax, which would really be the catch me out, in my opinion. And that's something we need to look at.
Does that commerce tax somehow factor into the vote to encourage, if I can use a mild word, the Oakland Raiders to move to Las Vegas?
I don't know. That seemed to be just a one hotel, one owner whim that because he's such a big contributor to the Republican Party, the legislature just rolled over and did it. It's really, I think all the hotels will benefit from the facility, but the one owner, Mr. Adelson, the owner of the nation, he's going to be the biggest beneficiary. And how that happened, other than just the fact he gives hundreds of millions of dollars to the Republican Party, I'm not sure.
Well, that's an interesting question because of what's happened around the country. I mean, there seemingly is no allegiance to cities by the billionaire owners of franchises. We're going to take a break, and I want to follow up on this very topic when we come back. Please stay with us. Great guest, great story. Stay tuned.
Are you confused and overwhelmed by social media for your business? Does all the techno jargon confuse you? At Performance Intermedia, we can help you effectively use social media to grow your business. The information out there is overwhelming. And we make sense out of it, focusing on your business and your target customer. If you have compliance regulations, we work within those. Social media is no longer an option for successful marketing and business development. You must do it. Building an integrated marketing strategy that includes social media is necessary for the growth and reputation of your business. If you are slipping behind your competition in using social media, call us now, 702-720-6560. Our website is pimedia.me.
Do you need high-quality estate planning and family law services? I'm Reno attorney Todd Torvinen. I practice in the areas of estate planning, probate, family law, and divorce taxation. I'm also experienced in probate and family law litigator and believe that prevailing in any litigation requires diligent, methodical preparation. As a certified estate planning law specialist and certified public accountant, I'm singularly qualified to analyze the financial aspects of marital, family assets, or a decedent's estate. A large part of my practice is done in real time. It means that preparation of estate planning and family law documents occurs with the client present, and they're reviewed with the client at the time the client is there. Your documents are examined line by line and explained to you, then modified based upon your input. This client-focused approach leverages the current technology and enhances the attorney-client communication and relationship. The idea is to produce a better product. Please call me at 775-825-6066 to schedule an appointment today. Again, 775-825-6066.
So, Tick, when we took a commercial break, we were talking about the vote to move the, hopefully, Raiders from Oakland to Las Vegas, along with perhaps other aspects of the Raiders deal. And I had made the point that there seemingly is no allegiance, in fact, not seemingly, it's clear that there's no allegiance to cities by the billionaire owners. I mean, I think back, Baltimore became Indianapolis, Los Angeles became St. Louis, and now St. Louis has again become Los Angeles. And all the time, the taxpayers have been footing the bill by way, usually of bonded indebtedness. And every time, you know, the Davis family, the owners of the Raiders, the majority owners, have a very checkered history. Every time they have either relocated or threatened to relocate, they've gotten millions of dollars. And there's no commitment yet on the part of Oakland to relocate to Las Vegas. And, you know, the question becomes, when the taxpayers foot the bill directly or indirectly, in whole or in part, who benefits and who does not? What's your opinion about that?
Well, I mean, there's certainly going to be some jobs, construction jobs, and there'll be some jobs in the stadium. And truthfully, I think the Raiders probably less significant as far as occupants of the thing than lots of big events. I mean, Vegas has become the place for huge events, and this would be a great place. In fact, I'm thinking, how great would it be to have the Rolling Stones concert with 50,000 people there and everybody smoking dope because it's now legal. So, I mean, there could be some good benefits, but at the end of the day, they're raising room tax to raise $750 million, and that's a huge amount of money in this state, which we would kill for to put into our university system or our public education system, our roads, our mental health, you name it. We are so desperate for money, and $750 million is just huge. So the thought that we would make that a priority to build a 60,000 stadium for our hotels is pretty amazing.
But how many times during the year, absent the football games, if they don't occur, are you really going to have 60,000 people for an event?
Well, I don't know, but if you could see the Electric Daisy Carnival they have here in June, or the Burning Man thing they do out there outside of Reno, I mean, we have become a destination place for these huge crowds, and we have 150,000 hotel rooms here in Vegas. So, I mean, it'll take a while, but I wouldn't doubt that could be once a week or twice a week that thing will be full in 10 years, just because of this is the only place you could actually get to and stay in a hotel reasonably priced and have 60,000 people.
But I'm curious why you would mention, for example, Burning Man, because that's about 550 miles north of Las Vegas. They aren't going. I've been to Burning Man. You're not going to be in the stadium. They're in the Black Rock Playa or desert.
Yeah,
near Gerlach.
No, I agree. I mean, but the fact is, 50,000 people go to that from all around the country, and we have this Electric Daisy Carnival, which we get, I think, a couple 100,000 people for over 3 nights in Las Vegas, and it's just amazing what these new venues and I don't know how long they'll last, but for now that seems to be the trend. The bigger the better, and then they're multi-day events where people just go crazy, and that's what Vegas is best at.
Would you think the Raiders will actually move to Vegas?
I'm not sure. I know just by building that stadium, we're going to double probably Mark Davis's net worth. He's going to become a billionaire overnight.
Yes.
So he might just move and then sell it just for the hell of it. But it is pretty shocking to think about how small we are as one of the small media market to leave. I think the 8th largest media market in San Francisco. It's pretty amazing. But it may show also that the economics of the NFL and these professional teams are different, and a lot of it's just being able to get on national TV and a lot of Raider fans in LA and San Diego, I'm sure, will come here different weekends. So I'm sure there'll be marketing packages to come to the Raiders and have a weekend in Vegas too.
Well, that could well happen. You're quite right. The very fact that the Chargers have decided to move to L.A. probably enhances the chance of the Raiders coming to Vegas, because otherwise they clearly had as their number one choice Los Angeles, no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
What about the
but
fact
again, I mean, you can be in L.A. and drive to Vegas, stay in a hotel, go see a Raiders game almost as easy as it would be to be in Orange County and drive to L.A. to see a Raiders game. So.
That's true.
Or Santa Barbara.
Yes, my old stomping grounds. But one controversy is that St. Louis is a good example. The bonded indebtedness there is huge, and it was very popular when that in debt was incurred. But the politicians who voted for those subsidies are generally long gone when the yogurt or doo-doo hits the fan. And that's what's happened in St. Louis. There's really no one to blame. And
well, I think the reality is the funding is going to be okay because it's a room tax, and I don't think our room revenues are ever going to go down. So that part's okay. It's just the fact that that room tax could be used for something else, and the state as desperate as we are, we would build a stadium for a football team, and for the hotels. Truthfully, the hotels all came and said, "Oh, we need this, we need this, we need this." And I'm thinking, well, if you need it, then why don't you build it? Why are you asking us to pay to build it if you need it? But again, that's Las Vegas. We've always been willing to spend the taxpayer money to enhance our industry, which of course then does create jobs.
Well, speaking of that, you seem to be very positive about economic development in the future, both south and north in Nevada. Is that your view?
Absolutely. And my biggest fear, frankly, is we're developing so fast, we're going to run out of water and say, wait a minute, is this the state we wanted to become? I mean, to me, where you live, the northern Nevada area, is one of the beautiful places in the world. And now to be advertised as an exclusive place where people come, as opposed to creating factories like with the building Tesla and 20-hour jobs, which are frankly not that big a deal when you have a limited amount of water. I heard that Tesla is going to use as much water as Carson City. That's incredible.
Well, I believe that to be true, but it is also going to be the largest industrial park, apparently, in the entire world.
Yeah,
it's more than Tesla. Yeah, that Tahoe, I guess it's called Tahoe Reno, even though it's a long way away from Lake Tahoe, encompasses much more than Tesla, though Tesla is the anchor.
Right. But again, it's just I don't think we've actually thought about what we want to become as a state, because our resources are going to run out here, and why don't we start to look forward and say, this is what we want to do. We want to encourage anybody that wants to come here. I mean, the reality is, if you go to California and say, come to Nevada because you don't have to pay taxes, the companies you get are companies that don't want to pay taxes. So you're just self-fulfilling your prophecy, as opposed to going to Silicon Valley and say, come to Nevada because you have clean air, you have great education, You get great mountains. You got great things to do. Then we would get the top kind of jobs we really want: clean jobs, high-paying jobs. But no one, as far as I can tell, is really focusing on that aspect of it. We're just like, any job is a job, and the more the merrier. And with our limited water, we cannot do that, north or south.
Well, somewhat in connection with that, I think constantly of alternative energy, in which I have a significant background. But it seems to me that the greater Reno area could lead the nation, if not the world. I mean, solar energy, wind energy, geothermal energy. I mean, they all converge right here, as well as biomass conversion, cogeneration, and so on and so forth. How much focus from the legislature will you be on promoting alternative forms of energy?
I think that's one of our top priorities, because we do recognize that as one of the uniquest things about Nevada. And both just creating the energy itself, but also making Nevada a mecca for people that can learn, can train. We can be an experimental place, so that people from around the world can come here and see what we do in Nevada, and hopefully our university system can educate people that can then go around the world, and people will come here to go to school here. So those things like mining. I mean, we're the number 5 country in the world for gold mining just here in Nevada. But we don't make or at least encourage the gold mines to give money to UNR, so we have the best mining school in the world. We should have that school should be number 1 by far, because of the amount of gold that's taken out of here. But anyway, just those kind of things. It's not enough to just bring the jobs. We need to start thinking about jobs where we could be the best in the world, and people will come here. Like gaming, we are the gold standard for gaming. Everyone looks to Nevada as the place to be or to learn about how to do gaming. We should be the same thing for alternative energy. We should be the same thing for marijuana. We should be the same thing for gold.
Well, between the University of Nevada, Reno, the Desert Research Institute, Sierra Nevada College, and other post-secondary educational institutions here in the north, as well as those in the south, that could be extraordinary by way of helping to implement some of these programs. I mean, the research is being done. Knowledgeable, thoughtful, established personnel, scientists are there working on these things. It's really just a question of getting the corporate interests to step up and do it.
Yeah. And it's also willing to put where our mouth is. I mean, you look at Utah. You have University of Utah, one of the premier institutions in the world. Look at Arizona. You have Arizona State, premier institutions. California, all the university systems. I mean, we are the outlier, Nevada. And why we don't realize that money spent on education comes back tenfold.
Yes.
You can't ever emphasize having top-notch universities, medical schools, things like that. And yet we've always just been unwilling to step up. And really, as I said, they asked the hotels to pay for the university system, asked the coal mines to pay for the university system, asked these different industries to help us.
Well, what's your view on the president's executive order regarding both the Keystone and the Dakota pipelines? I mean, when we're talking about alternative energy, and then to, again, be wedded to fossil fuels, which are not even going to be used in the United States, seems counterproductive. And before you answer that, we're going to go on another commercial break, and we'll be right back. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Brian Allman here again. I want you all to know that people with sleep apnea oftentimes have many life-threatening conditions, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, impotence, and especially daytime fatigue, which can make you a very dangerous driver. If you snore and have other health issues, you are likely suffering with sleep apnea, and you definitely don't need just a snoring appliance. Snoring isn't dangerous, but suffocating while you're trying to sleep is very dangerous. To treat your sleep apnea, you really need a dentist who will work with your sleep specialist to find you the best diagnosis and treatment options options you can live with. My team and I at the TMJ Therapy and Sleep Center of Nevada are here to help by offering FDA-approved, custom-fitted oral appliances that are comfortable and have been proven to be effective. Also, we will work in collaboration with your sleep doctor to ensure that your treatment is successful. Don't risk stroke, heart attack, or early death by ignoring your health or masking your symptoms with a shortcut. Call us today at the TMJ Therapy and Sleep Center at 825-7200 or visit our website at tmjreno.com because you deserve a more healthy, vibrant life.
We're talking to Victor from Precision Diamonds. Victor, where do I go to get my jewelry fixed?
You need to come to Precision Diamonds and meet Mo. Mo is the best jeweler in town. He's been with me 17 years. He has an amazing following. Everything's done in-house. You'll be surprised how many customers, how many friends will not let anybody else touch their jewelry except for Moses.
Mo is a part of your family.
He is my nephew. He is the future of the business. We created a design center where we can design exactly what you're looking for. And if it's just a matter of coming in, let us inspect it, clean it, so make sure that everything's safe, everything gets done while you wait. If you have a very specific job to be done that needs to be done while you wait, let's call us, come on in, let's set up an appointment. And he'll talk to you and tell you the whole process of what he's doing while you wait, while you watch him. This way there's never question about what was done. And he guarantees everything.
So see Mo at Precision Diamonds.
Absolutely. Come and see us.
Thank you, Victor. Precision Diamonds, your local jeweler across from the convention center.
So, getting back to the fossil fuel industry and the executive order we recently heard about, what are your thoughts? Even though it does not directly impact Nevada, does it indirectly impact Nevada?
Well, it does, and I think it's probably indicative, well, hopefully not, of what's going to happen in the next 4 years, which is trying to encourage coal to come back and encourage more use of fossil fuels and all the things we know are destroying our environment in every way possible. But the thought that those are the first two things he did is pretty remarkable. Although I think when actually people look at it, they're going to be harder to unwind than just making a pronouncement. So I don't think they're going to start building those pipelines anytime soon. And frankly, the economics of them may end up killing them because fossil fuels, just every day solar becomes cheaper and cheaper and fossil fuels become more expensive. And if we can take away the incentives we give fossil fuels, it's a dead industry.
Somewhat related to this, can you give us an update regarding Yucca Mountain, especially given the retirement of Harry Reid? Because clearly that retirement weakens perhaps the resistance in southern part of the state to Yucca Mountain.
Well, it doesn't weaken our resistance. We're still opposed to it, but the fact is he has been there.
Well, he has clout. He has extraordinary clout, though, or he has had.
No, that's what I'm saying. In D.C., it could not happen as long as he was there. And frankly, there are people just salivating around the country, all these utilities with all this radioactive material on their building sites, just salivating to get that stuff out here into Yucca Mountain. So it's something we have to be ever vigilant, and if it's ever going to happen, the next 4 years with Trump would probably be it, because I'm sure that's one of the other issues he'll try to do is to try to screw Nevada and do anything that the utility companies want. But the Yucca Mountain itself is bad, but the real danger is transporting all that material across the country. I think there's like 100,000 semi-truckloads of dangerous plutonium waste that's going to be transferred over a multi-year period.
That hasn't gotten enough attention, but that's where the real resistance is going to come from.
Yeah,
when various cities, often very urbanized cities, realize that this stuff is going to be coming into their communities, either by truck or by rail, that is going to be a powerful resistance. And people, I think, by and large, aren't thinking about that.
Yeah, it's real easy to just say, well, let's take it to Yucca Mountain and put it in Nevada where no one lives and we don't care about them anyway, the wasteland. But when they start to focus on and then in Nevada, if we look at all those coming right through Las Vegas, one of those tips over and that's the end of our economy for sure. I mean, we're going to, even if it doesn't do anything, just the publicity of having nuclear waste spread around downtown Las Vegas will just kill us.
Well, we go from there right into the question about in the aftermath of Harry Reid's retirement, what will be the clout or lack thereof of Nevada in D.C., since neither Cortez Masto or Heller endorse Trump?
Well, it's going to be a huge drop-off, frankly. I mean, I have a bill this session to change the name of the airport here in Las Vegas from McCarran, who was a big racist, created the House Un-American Activities Committee, anti-Semitic, but somehow or other we honor him, to Harry Reid International Airport. For better or worse, Reid has done more to change Nevada and modernize Nevada than anyone ever in history.
But didn't Reid try to affect that very change? I mean, I know
the airport.
Yeah, the name of the airport.
No. He came out. He's come out publicly and said it shouldn't be McCarran. But he's never really done anything other than just publicly say that. But no one's ever actually, come forth with a concrete proposal to change the law to do that. And he's never proposed for himself for changing the name to himself.
No, I knew. I didn't mean to suggest that.
But no, he's very anti-McCarran, and for rightly so. I mean, it said that when you look back at that, it's very. I can analogize it to having the Confederate flag over the Capitol in South Carolina. I mean, we have a state that has such a racist history, and then now we've become a majority-minority state where a majority of the population is peoples of color. And yet you have an airport that's named after a guy who's made his career, picking on people of color. It's just phenomenal. So anyway, those are the kind of things symbolically. I think it's important for Nevada to grow up and recognize where we were and that we're no longer there. We are modern.
Well, speaking of people of color, what do you think the state of Nevada's position is going to be in connection with the immigration policies now being instituted, the border wall being built, it seems, sanctuary cities potentially being punished? How does that affect the state of Nevada? I mean, Las Vegas and Reno both have been very welcoming to refugees, I know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you one thing for sure, and that is this is making our Latino population Democrats and involved in politics like never before. I remember back in California when Pete Wilson ran for governor, and he made immigration a big issue. And that flipped the whole Latino community to become Democrats, and they've never gone back. And that's what Trump is doing for Nevada. I mean, we are so energized here that I think that we're never going to go back to being a red state. I think we're blue forever. And the more he screams about the wall, the more we're going to fight back, just tooth and nail, because we can't stand it. But just with respect to sanctuary cities, we do have bills that the Democrats are going to be pushing, making Nevada a sanctuary state, modeled after what they're doing in California. Although I noticed in today's paper that the mayor of Las Vegas announced that Las Vegas is not a sanctuary city. She was very proud of that, which is kind of funny.
Well, I hear a number of mayors saying that, including I heard this morning on NPR that the mayor of Miami took that position as well. And yet most people look at it and believe that it is a sanctuary city, whether or not the mayor wants to say so. Well, what can Las Vegas, what can Reno do to resist the withdrawal of federal funds or potential withdrawal of federal funds?
Well, I think just stand up and say, we're not going to sacrifice our workforce, our citizens, our hardworking people for a few federal dollars. And I actually think when push comes to shove, they'll back down, or it may even be unconstitutional according to some Supreme Court cases that say that you can't punish a state for not taking money or for not doing a program. But I can't tell you how, personally, I think that it's just, we have to do everything we can to stand up to the fact that we're going to identify certain people, Mexicans or Muslims or whatever, and make them second class or third class or not even citizens, and just target them. And we here in Nevada, we give undocumented immigrants driver's licenses. We want them to participate. They're a valuable part of our economy. And the thought that they have to be scared to death every second that they might be arrested and deported and removed from their family. These kids that weren't born here but have been grown up here all their life, graduated from schools, have awards. yet they aren't citizens. It's just so scary.
Well, one of the
why you want to be that mean to go after them? It's just hard to believe.
Well, let's once again touch upon one of the things that we're going to be confronting all over the country. What do you see as the future of health care in Nevada, given the repeal of the Affordable Care Act, or sometimes called Obamacare, and thus far without a replacement?
Well, I mean, if they actually repeal it and stop the funding, particularly for Medicaid, that's going to be a incredible blow to Nevada. I think there's several 100,000 people that we have newly enrolled in health insurance under Medicaid, under Obamacare, the Americans with. So it's been so great. Our hospital here, which I live next to, it's in my district, the University Hospital, has been running deficits for years, and now with Obamacare and all the Medicaid money, we're able to actually start to make some money, and at least our deficit's not as big, and we're starting to increase services. And they've proven that over time, as you start to deal with people's health issues when they first arise, as opposed to at the very end, you save money. So it's just, we're the only industrialized country in the world that doesn't have national health insurance. And the thought that we would go back, it's just, again, it's one of those things that's just hard to comprehend. And we in Nevada need to fight that tooth and nail.
Well, I am convinced, I really am, that eventually the Republicans will come up with a replacement, although they've had many years to work on it, and of course they had 59 or 60 votes to repeal when Obama was in office, without ever offering a replacement. And he was always...
Well, and Obamacare, frankly, was a Republican proposal.
Yes, it was.
This was the bill they were proposing in the 90s.
Yes, it was.
And we wanted a single payer. And then when we turn around and say, okay, we'll give you what you want, then it's like, oh, no, we don't want that. So.
Well, I want to give one last question to you before we end. It's been widely reported that you may be a gubernatorial candidate once Governor Sandoval retires. Do you want to do a Sherman-like statement, or are you going to leaving the door open?
No, I would honestly say that it's Sherman-like, that's not realistic. I've given up running for something else, but it certainly would not be governor. But it never hurts to have your name mentioned.
Very well. Well, thank you so much for being our guest. We really appreciated it. You were a great guest, and I think very educational program. Take care. Bye-bye.